Beyond grief and loss. In our session today, we together learn a technique that is the first basic step to put an end to worry behavior. Let's get started. Before we begin this technique and learn together, I request if you could grab a pen and a paper, because this is best done while writing it. Are you one of those people who worry a lot? I used to be one of them. Most of my anxiety was rooted in the countless worries I had about almost everything. Right from my college years, when I used to worry before exams, to my corporate years, when I would worry before an appraisal feedback I was supposed to receive, before I would present my presentation to my supervisor, or before a project deadline. I had countless worries, and I used to stay anxious and stressed because of it. This technique helped me a great deal in overcoming my worry behavior. I'm sure the way it helped me, it would do the same service to you as well. Now, while you are reading this question on your screen, do you worry a lot about things you have no control? You may also have an answer written for yourself. While you write this answer, make sure you are observing that I have underlined no control. The very reason I did this is this particular, I would say, term, two words, no control, plays a great role, especially for people like you and me who worry a lot. It helps and put things in perspective. So if you are one of those who worry a lot, and just next to your worries, if you ever scan it through the filter of control, or is it beyond your control or is it within your control, which I call it the control test, you would find that most of what we worry about actually fall in the category of things which are beyond control, yet we worry about them. So the idea here is this no control actually can help you fundamentally shift your approach to worries. So anytime you worry and you would list your worries, make sure you also keep this concept with you. Are my worries within my control, or am I worrying about something which is beyond my control? Always do the control test. Now, pause for a few seconds and answer this question that you see on your screen. What do you worry about? We all worry about a lot of things, and our worries keep changing with circumstances and people and events. For now, you could just write something that you've been worrying about. Do you want to break the worry pattern? I'm sure your answer is a yes. Now, to the most interesting part of this technique. Now that you've written your worries, you've also written whether what you worry about is within your control or beyond your control. Write what do you typically do when you're worried. List your reactions, actions, and everything you do when you get worried about something. Next, ask yourself, what do I want to do instead of worrying? Then write down your response and act on it. So you began with writing down your worry, understanding whether it is within your control or beyond your control. If this is something which is within your control, then you continue on with these steps, where the first thing you do is, after listing what you worry about and which is also within your control, is that you write down your reactions, your actions, and everything you do when you are in a worry state. After that, you arrive here, where you need to now write what is it that you want to do instead of worrying. Friends, this is the most crucial part of the entire technique. When I did it for the first time and I actually learned this, I was, to be honest, very skeptical. I was not sure whether I would have an answer. But since I had a whole host of things that I worried about, and I pulled up my journal that I used to write where specifically when I was in a worried state, and then I picked up one of it which was to do with my on-job worries. This was when I used to work in a corporate, and then picking a worry which was within my control, and I used to worry a lot about it. When I answered this question, what would I do instead of worrying? I was amazed by the very answer that I had received from inside me. All I had to do was pause, reflect, and give myself some silent moments. And the answers lying deep inside me came up. Some of them were a bit silly, but that's okay. At least, first time in my life, I found something that I need to do instead of worrying. So I would want you to try this specifically with worries and things you find yourself which are within your control, and what is it that you could do about it instead of worrying. While you're writing your response, make sure these are things that you can practically do something about it. The action items that you've just listed down, you need to practice. Over a period of time, you will find that it's not that you've overnight found a way out of your worries, but as you continue to practice this, and specifically this particular part where you would pause, think, what is it that I would do or take action on instead of worrying? And when you actually do it in reality, execute it, you will find that there's a complete shift, not just in your mindset, which is now, or your entire mental state, which is now more calm and at peace, but also a shift in the way you now look at some very silly things we worry about. There could also be experiences where you may not find any change. So you figured out what you worry about, you've also found out that it is within your control, and then you wrote what you do when you're worried, and finally, what is it that you would do instead of worrying? And you have no answer, or you're taking action but you're not experiencing any change. At that point, you need to go back, rewrite them, and start your practice again. Because friends, it is not necessary that sometimes few things we worry about, we are really categorizing them into something that is within our control. It could be something which is beyond our control, or it could be that it is related to something of the past which you have still not resolved it. So as you write, as you reflect, as you think, and as you ask your own self where all the answers reside, you will find answers. You will also find moments of silence with no answers. But when you continue to practice it, eventually you will find a solution and a way out of your worries. Thank you. These are my coordinates. This is my website, guideadvice.org, and this is the email where you could write to me. If you ever think you still need help, as I said, there are cases and there are points in our life where on the surface it might look like a basic worry, but in reality it could be connected to something else. At that juncture, I recommend you hire a coach. I specialized in grief coaching, but also being a CBT practitioner, I also practice cognitive behavior therapy for adults. And with my corporate experience of 12 years, I also offer mentoring services. A detail of that you could gather from the website. So connect if you really think you need help with your worries, and this technique is helping you but not completely. Thank you.